You may think that I was a little bit rude at the end of this episode 200, our 200th episode. There's actually more than that, but 200 as we started counting them. This episode was with Nick Barre, who is a talent manager. He's worked with some great bands, and I mentioned their Switchfoot, but a whole bunch of other people that you may or may not have heard of. At the very end, let me explain what happens, because Nick says something very nice to me, and I know him personally, and I was unable to reciprocate, to say something nice back to him. But the reason I was unable to say something nice back to him is because I probably couldn't have said it without crying. Nick is a very close friend of mine, even though we've only talked a few times in the last 30 years. When I was young, 12 to 14 years old, there was a short period I wasn't going to church. My mom and dad were divorced. My dad had left. He had moved to another state because he couldn't find work in the state we were at. And so he moved back in with his parents. It was a rough time for me as a young man. And I was floating all over the places. When I got into heavy metal, I eventually became a skinhead, getting tattoos, at 15 years old across my back, skinhead tattoos and stuff. Things were crazy for me back then. But my brother kind of dragged me to this church. And in this church, there was a young 23 or 24-year-old Nick Barre. And Nick just looked straight at me. He wasn't intimidated at the heavy metal, punk rock, then turned skinhead. He just took me on. He was the coolest guy I knew. He would come to my junior high and have lunch with me or take me out to lunch. He's just, as you can tell when I talk to him, he's just a friendly, amicable guy. He still works in his church with young kids in middle school and early high school. And he was one of the people who, as we say, he watered me in nurturing my eventual faith that wasn't going to come for another 7 years when I was in the military. But I look back, at points in my life, who was instrumental. My father was instrumental in my faith. My mom, to some extent, too, even though she lived for a long time not as a Christian. And then there was a few people like Nick Barre. So when Facebook came around, and the first time we were moving out of the country, I wasn't sure whether we were coming back into the United States at all. This is 15 years ago or so. I looked up Nick Barre because I wanted him to know. Last time he saw me, I was just some skinhead showing up to his little get-togethers at the church, not taking too much of it seriously and probably being a total pain in his side. But I wanted Nick to know, his watering worked, and he was foundational in me coming to know who God was through his relationship with me. So I was holding back tears at the end of that episode. So maybe it sounds like I was being too rough with him or just being like, yeah, you too, man. But that was not it at all. I feel like he's one of the people I owe my life to. So there you go. Maybe I should apologize. I don't know. But I just wanted you all to know why it was so weird for me at the very end of that. All right. I hope you enjoyed the episode where we talk about the ins and outs of the rock industry and the music industry and things in Nashville, Tennessee.